to another episode of Strategic Minds Making Money Moves, where we give those strategies to do what? Make that green. Today, I have a phenomenal guest with me, Ted Cummings, and he has a business that is unbelievable. If you want to do an event, if you're thinking about things that happen when you do an event, he's your guy. We're going to talk a little bit about his business today. Welcome, Ted.
Hey, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. I'm glad you're here. Why don't you share with our audience a little bit about your business and what you do?
Okay, Onyx MS Group, and it's a funny thing because normally we're never on this side of the camera. We're back behind everything else. We produce conferences and trade shows all over North America, as well as we design and build radio and television facilities because we actually just completed one for the Army in Puerto Rico.
That's impressive. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So how do people find you today?
Well, you could actually find us. Our website is onyxmsgroup.com. On Facebook, we're Onyx MS Group. On both Twitter and Instagram, we're onyxms_group.
How do they know about services that you offer to even look you up? How would somebody find you? Are you, if I go on the website and I was to look for production companies, do you show up?
Yes.
In terms of being able to contact you? Does that work?
Yes, it does. Because if you Google even audiovisual production trade show, we're popping up right at the top.
Okay, did you hear that? In video production trade show, you got your guy. You got your guy.
Yes.
All right. So it sounds like you have a phenomenal business in terms of what you're doing. How long have you been in business?
We've been in business 16 years now.
Wow. 16 years. That's a long time.
Yes.
That is something to truly celebrate. So, as you wanted to talk today, tell us a little bit about what you'd like to discuss.
Well, I would tell you the when we spoke earlier, the one thing I said that most small business face, and everybody look at it and say it's COVID. No, it was long before that. Is the thing of financing your business. That is the biggest challenge most small business face. Is financing it. Understanding the world of financing is a huge thing people has to get over. And then also, just as looking at one of your episodes before, most people are afraid of money. Why? I don't get it. Because money is there to be used as a tool. That's how I look at it. It's not something to be worshipped or anything like that. It's to use it to grow your business and make your life better.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting because I think that there are a lot of dynamics to what you just said,
Yes.
a lot of components. One is that when we start to go out to get business and we're doing, whether we're doing a contract, whether we're doing a proposal, whether
Yes.
and it takes time.
Mhm.
And a lot of times being an entrepreneur myself, I know you can put proposals out there and spend hours on them and get absolutely zero return because they decide to go in a different direction,
Exactly.
right? But there are things that I have learned that I would love to be able to share with you that even you can consider from just the point of beginning. And, they have software tools out there like CoreDocs and all kinds of things that allow you to build your template. You put in your information and cut your time down tremendously,
Oh, yes. Yes.
in terms of expense to be able to do that. So as we take that technology and we begin to make it, and then we go, okay, how do I get capital? Right? How do I get the funding of what I'm trying to do to move forward? Now, I'm sure when you put your proposals out there, you are incorporating all the different cost components
Yes.
that it's going to take to be
Yes.
able to move forward, in terms of doing that. When you do that, do you find that there is more resistance because of what it costs? Or do you find that in terms of growing your business, it's simply because not having the working capital for what you need?
Well, actually, I don't find the resistance because of what it costs, because that is the one thing that I do. Cost is the last part of it. I lead strictly based on our skills, our expertise. I will sell you on that first. And then, oh, by the way, this is what it's going to cost you. Because, in any business, you either get it cheap, fast, or expensive. You can only pick two. So that's usually the route that it has to go. Now, when you talk about financing the business, the part where it hurts, a lot of large corporations, they utilize small business as their bank. So they put you
Tell me
on
more.
a net 60, a net 75,
Yes.
but yet you have to make payroll every 2 weeks.
Yes.
So that's where that whole financing part, and what most businesses don't do, you have to always have a line of credit that's set up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, once you start the business, that's the first thing you need to go after before you need it.
Mm-hmm.
Get it when you don't need it, because when you need it, you're never going to get it.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because
Mhm.
I think there's some avenues you can do to help you, especially with payroll.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So there are companies out there called factoring companies,
Mhm.
right? And so when you say to a client that this is what it's going to cost, and client says, I agree, you send that to the factoring company. They send you your money in advance,
Mhm.
right? And so that you can make payroll, right? They take a small percentage of it, and each one of them are very different, because I've shopped for a lot of them, being a small
Mhm.
business, right? But each one of them are very different. And they have different rules for how much that's going to cost you in terms of their fees.
Mhm.
But what I have found to be beneficial is that, there are certain ones that what they charge you is so minimal in terms of what happens. So they give you the money, and they keep a reserve amount until the company pays,
Right.
right? And then you get part of that reserve back
Mhm.
minus their fee. Well, if I'm doing that and I'm looking at those fees and I'm looking at what those costs are that I'm going to write off on my business, right? Because that's another component. Then I can talk about where we go from there. We're going to take a station break. And when
Okay.
we come back, I want to talk a little bit further about that, to talk about
Yes.
how could we actually get that income and bring it in.
Yes.
We'll take a station break. We'll be right back.
Strategic Minds, Making Money Moves with Vicki Wright Hamilton focuses on helping entrepreneurs to overcome their business challenges to help increase their bottom line. Each episode provides strategies for growth and transformation. Watch Vicki share her 20-plus years of experience as a corporate executive to help entrepreneurs level up.
Welcome back. So even as we talk about that factoring, and we talk about the fact of making payroll, and you're right, that is the hardest. There's nothing worse than being an owner and going, okay, I woke up, how am I going to pay my people, right? I don't have any money, right? But I think if you find the right factoring organization, and you may have used them in the past, but finding the right factoring organization to help you elevate to at least get that piece. One of the other things that I have found is that there are a number of these factoring organizations that are not just doing payroll, they're willing to do working capital, right? And we all know that when you do a service, it's the hardest to get the money. When you got a product, you got something you can touch and feel, and it's all good, right? When you're providing a service, it becomes really, really hard, because you're asked to get a loan, or you're asked to go take money out, or whatever, because there's no other way to get that money.
Yes.
And then you got to go through partnerships and any kind of way to beg, borrow, and steal.
That's true. That is
In
true.
terms of how am I going to get this working capital that I need to keep my business
Yes.
going. But some of these organizations some of these factoring companies do take you to doing working capital, so that you can do more than just payroll.
Yes.
And it just takes more to do that. Have you ever used a factoring company?
Well, I have used a factoring company in 2012 when we decided to move into the trade show services. I used a particular factoring company. Not only did they help us grow, the beauty of it, because it's a small business, you don't have a collection arm. So if a corporation is taking so long, they act as your collection arm. They will contact your clients.
That's right.
But as you.
That's right.
Unlike other factoring companies who will contact your clients and tell them they are ABC.
Right.
No, this company actually contacted your client as, hey, I'm contacting you for Onyx Media Services. Right. This has been past due, and that was great. They really helped us get through the hard times when we were growing.
You know, you're absolutely right. I've used them in the past, and they've done the exact same thing for me.
Yes.
And there's nothing like having, and I even tell my clients, I've outsourced my accounting.
Yes.
Right? I've outsourced it because, in essence, that's what they are. They're your outsourced arm.
Yes, they are.
I've outsourced my my accounting, and they take care of all of my invoices and all that,
Yes.
because they want to know how come they have to write back and say approved or whatever.
Right.
And it's like, it's so that my my company, you know, that I've outsourced to can actually make, you know, can take care of payments and things like that in terms of doing that. So since you started doing your factoring and you moved forward, what have you found to be your challenges along your trajectory of your growth?
The challenges along the trajectory of the growth is the whole thing of getting new clients and deciding which sector you want to grow in, because we also do federal government contracting. Now, as you said earlier, that takes about 24 months from when you start. So do you stick with the private sector where you're making a good deal of money? Or do you actually move time over to doing the federal contracting where it can be greater money, but when you first start, you've got to sacrifice some of that time?
You have to sacrifice, but I'm a true believer you can do multitasks at the same time.
Yeah.
So, and what I mean by that is that I think I think the hardest thing about doing that is making it as affordable as possible while you're doing both work streams.
Yes.
Right. So you're doing the private sector to pay your light bill. You're investing a portion of the profit from the private sector to get help in terms of building what you're going to do on the contractor side. Right. So you get people who are already in the realm of doing the government that can make it faster and quicker for you.
Yes.
Right. And then attending all of those things that put you in the mix of the people who are making the decisions about what's happening. So they get to know you as a household name. Because at the end of the day, you want them to know. When I think about production services, I'm thinking about your company.
Right.
I'm thinking about how you're going to be able to help us. So I don't say instead of. I said both at the same time.
Exactly, yes.
But strategically understand what you're going to invest in that government sector, because it can take a while. But the good news is, once you're in, you're in.
That's
right?
true.
Once
That
you get
is
in,
very
you're
true.
in.
Yes.
Now, I will tell you that what I have done previously is I have partnered with companies that are already established with the government
Yes.
as a subcontractor, so that they could get to know me. So I did that. Why? As a second string. So you got the private. I subcontracted to the government so I could continue to grow the business there. And then you do that while you're working on getting all the things you have to go through paperwork wise, certification wise, and all of that to get to the government. And what that did was I ended up making enough money on my subcontract that I was doing to withstand what had to be done in that work stream, while my profit was in the private sector.
Right.
Right. So I think there are ways to make that work. By no means is it easy, but it takes that strategic plan again, as we talked about, right?
Yes.
How are we going to build our strategy? What's the timeline of that strategy, and what do we want that strategy to look like? So if your goal is to actually get to the government, do both. Now, there are companies out here. As a matter of fact, it was one of my previous episodes. And what she does is she helps businesses get government contracts.
Yes.
And she helps them fast track the process of getting government contracts, right? There are businesses out there that will do that because they have the relationships. They know what they need to do in terms of making that work. So I think you have a lot of opportunity here to even continue that growth that you're on and make it quick, fast, and not as expensive. Because if you can get somebody who can help you jumpstart some of that 24 months or that 18 months, right, the quicker that you can get in to make it happen. We're going to take a station break, and when we come back, we're going to see if we have a question or comment from the audience as we wrap up. We'll be right back.
Strategic Minds, Making Money Moves with Vicki Wright Hamilton focuses on helping entrepreneurs to overcome their business challenges to help increase their bottom line. Each episode provides strategies for growth and transformation. Watch Vicki share her 20 plus years of experience as a corporate executive to help entrepreneurs level up.
Welcome back. As you can see, we're talking about some prominent things here in terms of growing your business and how do you deal with multiple streams of really trying to have multiple streams of income, right? And as you're pivoting with your business. Now, a pivot, as you pivot from one thing to another, things can take time. They can take investments. They can take where you actually have to begin to plan differently. But there's always investment with growth.
Yes.
You don't grow without investing.
True.
And so you have to determine how much am I willing to invest in terms of doing this, right? So putting part of that profit back into the business to be able to move to that second work stream that you're trying to grow and develop from, as we're trying to move forward. So I love your trajectory of really wanting to get more into the government space. And I do think that we have some small businesses that have focused their niche on how to help small businesses get through government faster.
Yes.
And those tips and tricks that, and we can explore some of those as well, in terms of moving forward.
Okay. Well, you just mentioned about pivoting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when COVID hit, the world shut down.
Yes.
And as the world started to open up slightly, what we looked at, because in the conference and trade show, that was just done.
Mm-hmm.
But what we did, we actually pivoted, because we were also an 8A firm. So
What does that mean?
8A is economically disadvantaged certification that you get through SBA.
Mm-hmm.
So that put us in a bracket to where we can buy certain equipment. So what we did, we purchased a bunch of those military generators, the big ones, because everything was going to outside events.
Yes.
You needed to power that event. So rather than trying to fight with other companies to get the service to produce the event, we bought the generators, so now we became your power generation. And that allowed us to stay alive during COVID. And now it actually put us in a new bracket to where when movie sets or whatever, they're renting our power generation now.
And you see what I'm saying? So now you built another work stream of revenue and diversifying that revenue. And that's how you take something that bad happens and make it good. And then what you don't understand is it may stay forever. Right?
There you go.
And give you that opportunity.
Oh, yes.
So let's see if we have a question or comment from the audience.
Hi, my name is Renika Ward, Miss Vava Boom, and I'm a fashion stylist and artist and organizer. And my question that I have for you is, what part or aspect of your business gives you the most joy?
Oh, man. I tell you right now, that is a great question. It might sound weird, but what gives me the most joy is actually while my children were growing up, it gave me the time to be that dad that was there for them, be able to coach their soccer team, even be the PTO president, and was always there for them. Because the biggest issue right now, well, it's been that way, is the work-life balance. We work so hard to provide for our family. By the time they hit 18, we're like, oh God, you grew up already? This allowed me to actually be there. My youngest, she is in college right now, and I was there for her every step of the way. So that's what really gave me the most joy.
Now that's a blessing.
Yes, it is.
That is a true blessing when you can say, I can say I've had work-life balance.
Yes.
Right. And I commend you for that.
Thank you.
And it's one of those things that, did you know you were going to get that kind of balance when you took on this career?
No, I didn't know. I decided that's what I needed. Because before I started this company, I worked in, like everybody else, we worked in corporate America. I went back home to Jamaica, worked for companies there. And I looked at it when I was told to start this business. I said, no, I didn't want to. And it was simply because I wanted to be home with my children. So when we structured the business, it was structured around the family, not the opposite way how we're taught. We do our family around our career. So I made sure it was deliberately done that way.
And that's the beauty of being your own boss.
That's it.
Having your own
Yes.
company and being your own boss, you can
Yes.
set your own rules,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
And you can decide what your strategy looks like
Right.
and what you want it to be. And even when you decide, I may want to take my business and do it in another country, I can take my kids with me and we can explore another culture. We can explore
Definitely.
another environment. I can be gone over the
Definitely.
summer while they're out of school, and I can give them an experience they wouldn't normally have. So, it's a blessing when you can think outside of the box, when you know what's important to you, stick to your values, and make it
Yes.
happen. Leave the career that you had over here. Yeah, I'm in
Yep.
corporate and making good money, but my child went from 1 to 10, and I blinked. I don't even know what happened. But now I've
Very
left
true.
corporate and I've gotten to my own business, and they've gone from 11 to 18, and I know what they did every single day.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And so I think that, as we talk about building our businesses, those are strategies
Yes.
that we have to include.
Yes.
Right. Is when do I want to work? How hard do I want to work? What are the times that I want to work? And what's important to me?
Right.
As we continue to move forward. So I've heard you say you have multiple streams of revenue.
Yes.
You've got the power generator, you go, right? I'm getting ready to have a birthday party in my backyard. I may need to call you for my
You
grandson. Let's power it up. Let's make it happen. But you got the power generator that's going that you're able to make happen. You're working the stream simultaneously to get into the government as to what you're doing because you want to begin that effort. And then you have the private sector.
Yes.
In terms of in terms of where you're going. And it sounds to me like you have a great marketing strategy of how you want to market to do all three.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
In terms of that growth. Have you thought about how far, how much you want to grow?
Yeah, I've definitely thought about that because the whole idea was to build a generational business. Too often we build a business, make good money, drive a great car, fancy home and everything else, but we don't think about what's behind us. So the whole idea is to build that generation business. I do have a figure in mind because I always tell people, I don't believe in millions. I believe in billions and trillions.
All right,
So
now.
let's get
Now
there.
you're talking my kind of language. Let's be those billions and trillionaires.
Yes.
You're talking my kind of language. That's
Yes.
all right.
Mhm.
That's all right.
Oh, yeah.
That's all right. Are your children interested in carrying the business on?
Oh yes, no, my children. Well, I would put it this way: they're all in the business because by the time every single one of them, when they got to the age 12, there was no more allowance.
All right.
You out of school, come learn this so you can work. You got a break, come learn this so you can make money. And I've
Love
told
it.
every single one of them, you may not want to do this when you get older, but at the end of the day, you will know how to make money. Now, my oldest son, everything is being put in place because he pretty much runs the business
Oh, that's
to where
awesome.
it will turn over to him now. They were all kind of jealous because my last is my daughter. And I told them, this business was built for her. You're going to work for her. And that's how it is. Because even with my 3-year-old grandson, I'm teaching him how to wrap cables. I'm like, yeah, you're going to learn to do this because it's going to be your business after your father is done with it.
It's one of those things that making sure that our children have skills that we
Yes.
never have to worry about them starving.
Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
And that we know that they can take care of themselves.
Exactly.
There's a lot to be said for that.
Yes.
And we talk about generational wealth and what that means and how we pass it on. And some people go, well, you're forcing them to do that. No, I'm not forcing them. I'm giving them options.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in the
Yes.
power of options.
Exactly.
So you know how to do this and you know how to do this over here too. You'll never starve.
You never start.
You'll
You
never
choose.
starve.
You choose.
You choose,
Exactly.
and you're able to do that. Oh my gosh, I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation,
Thank you.
Ted.
Yes.
It's been great having talking about strategy and growth and moving forward.
it has.
Can you all thank me in thanking my guest today? Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Hidden Stories Healed Now, where we give those strategies so we can do what? Make that green. See you next time.